Alright, guys. It is February the 24th, year of our Lord 2025. And I hope everybody had a good weekend. I'm hearing that Dan Bongino is going to be over. He's underneath Cash Patel, I think, in the FBI, or he's overtaking the TSA or ATF. So something along those lines is going on. I didn't get into the details today. I just getting burned out on all the news stuff. I'm just am. I know that they're pushing really hard to get the stimulus checks out, to get that ball rolling. So, who knows? And I know some people don't believe in it. You don't believe in it, give it to people that need it. Give it to someone that you know that needs it, if you don't believe in them. So, that's all I can tell you. What else was there? Oh, there's supposed to be another COVID strain coming out, more deadlier than everything else. So, not quite sure what's going on with that. All I know is God has us, and don't look away from God. Stay with God on everything. Keep your faith with God. So that's it of the new stuff that I have heard. There's something. Sorry, I was yawning. Something we were talking about Friday, and I done forgot what it was all about. I said I'll try to remember today. I'm not remembering it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a bad host for doing that. I am so sorry. But I was going through some things today online, and was on Netflix and was watching a movie. And basically the king of a land went in, killed some baby dragon eggs, killed the last of a dragon's lineage off. So what they were doing was marking innocent people with the blood of their corrupt family, and then drop them in a pit for the dragon to take care of them. And it had nothing to do with taking responsibility for what they've done. And apparently they did that to like 15 different people over the years. And that kind of touched base with me a little bit. We have a tendency to try to manipulate things to where it's not our fault, instead of admitting something's our fault, instead of taking the consequence for our actions. We try to pawn it off on everybody else. It's not my fault. Hell, this weekend, me and the wife was talking about something, and I told her it was the dog's fault because it just was, Yeah, I was horsing around, but it's the same thing. And I don't even remember what we were horsing around about. That's how insignificant it was, but it's so easy to blame someone else. So I knew I was in trouble. She knew she had me in whatever it was, and I was just playing. But it's still the fact that we put the blame somewhere else so we feel better about ourselves. And that actually makes us weaker spiritually. And we need to, even just playing around, your body doesn't know the difference between playing and not. Your mind may, but your body doesn't. So it's something that I learned today. Even as a joke, don't play around that way. And I think God was making a point to me today about that. So I know watching movies like that are demonic, disgraceful, all these things. I think the movie was called Danzel. It had the girl from the Stranger Things in it. So, but it's what the story was telling you, not what the movie had in it. And that's what a lot of people misunderstand. It's the story. And instead of the family taking responsibility for what they did, they blamed other people and tried to pay for their mistakes with innocent blood. So it was an interesting movie, especially when you look at it from a different point of view. And Bruce Lee said this very well, and it's quoted throughout still today. Don't put yourself down, even jokingly, because your body doesn't know the difference. Always encourage yourself and always lift yourself up. Never bring yourself down. Because his words are spells, and depending on how you use them depends on the outcome of how everything goes. And if you are putting yourself down, that means you are going down instead of making yourself stronger. So it's easy to sit down and point out faults on yourself, on everybody around you, on this and that. It's easy to sit there and do this. It is hard to find the positives and lift yourself up, because everything you think you do is not good enough. So what you need to do is find one thing that you did good today for, and praise yourself for that one good deal that you did that day. One good thing you did that day. We need to respect ourselves before we start respecting other people. If you want respect, you have to respect yourself. And a lot of people think respect is just given to the maximum, and that's the way it's supposed to be. And it's not. You are given a little bit of respect when I meet you, and if you don't acknowledge it, you don't get it. At all from me after that. If you want to respect me, by all means, I'll respect you. But it just depends on how people behave. And a lot of people don't know what respect is nowadays. And that's a shame. We've allowed people to grow up without knowing what respect is in a household. So, but I think the gist of today was to learn that it's not about passing the blame to someone else. It's about owning the blame. And sometimes you have to own blame that you still should take responsibility for, even if you didn't do it. Especially if you're the only one that will take the responsibility. Because a lot of times when people find out you didn't actually do it, but you took the responsibility for it, they'll respect you more, and they will honor what you're saying more. So I've taken blame at work for stuff that I didn't do. But at the same time, I turned around and looked at the person that I knew did it, and the other people that were around thought they could throw a lot of blame my way because I took it the one time. And then they started abusing it. And then I didn't even know they had cameras at the time. They went back and started watching the footage and found out I was nowhere around, and they started going after the actual people that were causing the problems. So there is a silver lining. You just have to look for it. And you can be taken advantage of. Everybody can be. But that can't be the fear that makes you not want to be responsible. Being responsible is not about just letting anything and everything go. Being responsible for, if you're the manager of a shift and that shift hasn't produced a third of what they're supposed to, you're in trouble, right? Because you didn't do your job and make sure everybody was doing theirs, so therefore you didn't get enough of the production done. So we turned around and that person's getting in trouble, and then the next day they put out what they're supposed to plus some, and then they start keeping it at that new level, and now everybody's needing to do that new level. So there's positives that can come out of everything. You just have to look for the positive and stop looking at the negatives. And I think that's what God is trying to relate, is stop passing the buck. You make a mistake, you need to own up to it. You created a situation. It's your responsibility to fix it. Now, you may have to fix it with someone else, with someone else's help, but you need to be the main one that fixes it. So I know it sounds like a lot of babbling, but I'm trying to put scenarios in here to make it where it's a little bit more understandable. But if you get a chance, watch the movie, and you'll see what I'm talking about. But the same thing in the Bible. The people that were counting every grain and all the scraps and everything, and then just giving the people the leftovers after they made sure everybody they thought was important had enough, then they gave to the other people instead of giving everybody equal shares. And Jesus called them out on that. And then they're sitting there saying that, don't blame me, blame everyone else, because I'm just doing what I'm told. And Jesus says that's not good enough. When you see somebody starving, feed them. You see somebody unclothed, clothe them. You know, instead of saying it's not my responsibility, then whose is it? Some people can't afford to help others out. But there's other things you can do besides give money. You can give your time. That's the most precious thing we have, is time. You can give time to a homeless person. You can go to a old folks home and spend time with them and invent games for them to help them with their mobility. There's people that do that. Um, there is a lot of stuff you could do. But the question is, will you take the time to do it? So, last thing that I want to talk to you guys about is what would you do if you were in this situation? You're walking down the road and you see a homeless guy. He's not begging for money, for food, but he has no shoes. And it's 30-degree weather outside. What would you do in those situations? Me, myself, I wouldn't be able to buy him $200 pair of boots, but I would take him into Walmart, get a pair of boots for his size. It may cost me 40, 50, 60 bucks, but I'd still be able to do it. What would you do? Ignore him? Walk over to him, give him 60 bucks and tell him to go buy a pair of shoes? What would you do? So, that's my question to you guys. Because while we were in Walmart, I'd also pick him up some food. Some stuff he can put in his sack, his backpack, or whatever. And he can turn around and ration his food out a little bit. Because I'd buy him stuff that could be rationed. But yeah, the big question is, do you have faith for what's coming? Because there is going to be some hard times. And those are going to be the times that your faith is going to be tested. So prepare. It's coming. Remember, God loves you. God bless you. And you guys have a good day. And remember to pray.